here. You're ready. Welcome to my world.
It's your favorite action figure and unboxer. I'm Ghost of Sparta with another fantastic review for you guys with the TBL League Super Flexible Seamless Body Horus, Guardian of the Pharaoh. This is a 1/6 scale action figure that I'm going to review for you guys, and this guy is huge. This is my first 1/6 scale figure that I'm ever reviewing on this channel. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe and hit that bell notification so that way you guys don't miss any future reviews from yours truly. Also check out in the links in the description below for all my social media sites. That way you can stay up to date with the channel. Let's just get to the review and get to the size comparison so you can see how massive this figure is. Here we are with the size comparisons, and you can see how massive this guy is. I mean, at a 1/6 scale figure, this is pretty much like a 12-inch figure. You can see where he's at with the ImagineWorks Goku, NECA Predator, SH Figuarts Goku, Hasbro's Lightning Collection, Power Ranger, Gold Ranger, and then we have the Marvel Legends Deadpool, which is also from Hasbro. So wow, this guy's big, and his accessories are no joke either. Once we get into them, we're going to take a look at his paint apps accessories, sculpt, actually paint app sculpt, and also articulation in a little bit. But man, this guy is huge. Never seen a 1/6 scale figure. Well, I've seen 1/6 scale figures, but I haven't actually had one in my hand to be able to review. Alrighty, YouTube, this is my first time reviewing a 1/6 scale figure, so bear with me. I'm trying to get my camera positioning right. So hopefully this gives us enough detail and we can take a look at the figure. Now let's take a look at the sculpt work on the head, and man, the detail on that looks fantastic. I mean, you can see the dreads. These almost look like straight up Predator dreads. For his face, we have his beak. You can see all the gold. You can see the little hash marks. His eyes look clear as day. For the top of his crown or head, you can see all the detail for the hieroglyphics that they decided to put on there. I mean, it is fantastic. You can also see the detail for the feathers that they put out here, and you also have the little blue gems along with his little chest jewelry he has there. And you notice there's no seams for articulation. This guy's articulation is all covered. He's basically like a big wired frame, and they were able to hide the articulation. It's kind of like the ImagineWorks Goku with his arms. They basically filled the whole frame with silicone so that way you could take a look at him and just look at the detail. We have some like feathers here for his actual cloth cape, which is great. You know I'm all about the cloth cape club. You know, give us actual fabric for a cape here. Now let's go down to the rest of his costume attire. So this is some nice actual cloth here for his loincloth. We got the nice little symbols here for his belt. We got the Monster Reborn symbol. If you guys play Yu-Gi-Oh, you know what that means. Let's take a look at his gauntlets here. Like the paint apps on this, it looks really nice. They took their time. I feel that looks great. I mean, look, we have the nice blues and reds, the golds, and they also kind of like weathered it a little bit because you can see some like shading and tarnishing in there for the gold. It looks so phenomenal. I just can't get over the detail for a 1/6 scale figure. Now let's go look at his actual shin wraps here. You can see some more gold. Let me see if I can get that to focus. We can see some more gold here, and it's also wrapped in fabric. They did a lot of work. Look at his toes. You can kind of see the actual metal joint in there. Now I don't know much about Horus or his like history. If you guys can let me know in the description below, I would really like to know. I just picked up this figure because it was pretty cheap, and it was it looked new, it looked cool, and it was something new. I never seen a seamless body before. I don't own a Hot Toys. This is probably the closest thing to a Hot Toys that I could possibly own, because Hot Toys are pretty expensive. This guy was, you know, 120 bucks or so. There's not many Hot Toys that are that expensive, or that cheap, in other words. So I mean, this figure is great. Even on the hands, he has jewelry that they were able to sculpt and put detail on. Now as for the sculpt work of his body, trying to get the autofocus to work here. There we go. The sculpt work on his body, he was basically sculpted in a big silicone jelly kind of thing, and they just pumped silicone into a mold and had it cast over the body. There's no seams that I could see where it came. Usually there's like a seam for it where you can see where it was injected, but I guess that they took that off. What's crazy is the maintenance on this figure. I mean, you got to keep it in a nice dry place, cool. You can't pose them too long in like exotic poses, because this stuff will actually dry up and break and crack. I think some of the Hot Toys have that issue. Alrighty, so we went over the sculpt, went over the paint apps, went over the details. You can see that there is some kind of like white stuff on his body, and that's because when you got the figure, it is kind of dusted, and I don't know, I guess maybe silicone dust or something like that, powdered dust, but it's to keep the rubber from basically drying out. So let's take a look at his articulation. Head moves up, moves down, swivel, arm rotation, hinge, swivel, the hinge, crunch, back, after back, forward, waist swivel, forward, leg kicks back, Egyptian spread, bend at the knee, swivel. So Horus only comes with 3 pairs of hands. He has his closed hands or fisted hands on him already, and then he has these 2 like slightly gripping hands, and then he has a open palm hand, and then he has a pointing finger hand. And it's not, these 2 right here are for left and right, that's for left and right. So this hand is just for his right hand. So you can mix and match with the hands he has. He also has some grabbing accessories that his hands are pretty pliable. They're not stiff, so they're kind of rubbery. So if you need him to open up his hand a little bit more to grasp something, he can. That's not an issue for the figure at all. I do like the scale of this figure. 1/6 scale figures are pretty neat. I wish he did come with a little bit more hands. I think you could have probably got some more gestures out of it. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the hands. Let's take a look at the last couple accessories. So here's his last couple accessories. He does come with an alternative head with his mouth open, so you could use that like if he was attacking somebody, yelling at somebody, whatever you want. But the detail on it is still just as phenomenal as the original one with his mouth closed. You can see all the detail on the braids, the feathering for his neck, his mouth. You can actually see his tongue sticking out, which is really neat. You can see all the gold, all the little details, the wash on the top of his head. We have the same moon gem there and the hieroglyphics as well. So they did a really good job. TBL League is first time I ever reviewed a figure from them, and I mean, they're not a sponsor. I bought this figure like I mentioned before in the beginning of the video, and wow, this is the first 1/6 scale figure I've ever seen, and it looks great. They actually do 1/12 figure, so it's like a 6-inch figure, and I'll probably be reviewing one of those once it gets here. So here's his sword. Very nice, very generic. I mean, it has the I don't want to say it's an iconic shape, but I've seen a lot of, you know, Egyptian movies, or not movies from Egyptian, but anything that has to do with Egypt. Usually some of the enemies have a sword that's shaped like this. I don't know if that was normal back then, because I wasn't there. But you could see that the detail on this, look at, they have some like scaling for him to grasp right here on the handle, and then we have some nice little bumps here. It's silver, it's tarnished. For the hilt, you can see it's gold. It actually has the scarab right there at the bottom. Hopefully this camera is picking it up. You can see the scarab right there, right then and there. Oh, the blue gem in the middle. It's so great the amount of detail that you can see, because I mean the figure's so big, they are able to sculpt it just right so you can see the detail. So now we have also his staff here, which is really nice. It's somewhat flexible. Be careful with the break, because this will break. It is sharp at the end, but you can see how it's tarnished. You have that gold, you have the nice blue gem, we have the Monster Reborn cross here, and wow, it just looks really nice. Weathered. You have the gold right here for the bottom piece of the, I want to say it's a pommel, but pommels are only for swords. Maybe they have the same thing for staffs, but it looks great. These are the last bit of accessories he comes with besides the figure himself. And so now we'll go to my final thoughts. Now, Horus, the Guardian of the Pharaoh, is a really nice 1/6 scale figure. Great detail, no seams for the articulation. It's kind of something I've been always wanting as a kid, is a figure that you couldn't see the joints or anything like that, but it does hinder some of the articulation. You couldn't get a full arm swivel or anything like that, but it moves enough like a real body where you could still get great articulation from this figure. Now, some of the cons of this figure, the joints on its ankles are super weak because he is super heavy. Like I said, it's a metal frame that's underneath all this. I wish I could dissect them and take them apart, but I'm not going to do that. And that's what's he's really top heavy, so the ankles are, it's very hard for him to support his own self, and trying to get him to stand is going to be very difficult. Now what's sad is that you're going to only be able to pose him in a lot of vanilla poses. You're not going to be able to pose him in a nice dramatic pose because he can't hold it that long due to the fact of the rubber. So I think that's one of the things in the Hot Toys thing kind of disturbs me, is because they're not able to do that, because I believe a lot of Hot Toys kind of use this kind of body or frame. I don't think they use the normal like G.I. Joe kind of mold to be able to give you the articulation. Now there's so much detail on this figure, it's just phenomenal. It's almost mind-boggling to be able to see the amount of detail on this. Some figures don't even get this amount of detail. I mean, there's obviously there's shit. You get shading, you get tarnishing, you get all kinds of craziness for this figure. A lot of good detail, but that's because of the scale. Bigger figure, you'll be able to do more detail because it's easier to be able to do that. On a smaller figure, it's not. I recommend picking up this figure. I believe there's Anubis and a few others. I don't know if these guys are considered Egyptian gods or what, but there's more of them also, and I want to try to pick up some more of these guys because I just like how they look really nice, and there's different variations. I believe there's like a gold one, and then this is considered the black one because that's the versions they have. And I recommend picking up this figure if you're not if you're a 1/6 scale figure collector. I definitely pick up these guys just due to the detail. I mean, wow, that's really all I can say. The only thing is, like I said, the only con I could say about this figure is that the ankles are terrible, and that you can't keep him in a dramatic pose. Like in the pose he is right now, I believe that's too much. I don't think you can keep him there that long. You'd have to put his arm down at some point. So with all that being said, guys, I appreciate everybody showing up. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this 1/6 scale Horus from TBLEAGUE or TBLEAGUE? And I would really like to know, and make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and like always, I will see you on the next review.